Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's radio Zoom classes. This is MEL3E, grade 11 workplace math, and I am the teacher, Bronwyn Slate. If you'd like to participate live, you can call the Wahsa studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. You can listen on the radio at 91.9 FM and also on the television at Bell Express View channel 972. You are always welcome to join me live through the Zoom link, which is available both from me, your teacher, and also your DEC. Our classes are scheduled from Monday through Thursday, 9 until 10 in the morning, and we are in our third week of our 9-week course. You should be starting to think about submitting marking at this point. So a reminder, the support questions, the ones with the little pencil icon, are not for marking. These are practice problems. So you decide which ones and how many to do. You can totally do them all. But if you're understanding a concept, you can also skip questions. That is totally fine. You don't have to do them all just because they're there. However, if you need more practice, also ask. I'm happy to send you more practice if that's what you need. The key questions, the ones with the little key icon, are the marked questions. So please do all of these questions. Don't skip any of these ones. Do all of them, showing all of your work, your steps, and your thinking so that I can understand what you understand. And if you're struggling with anything, I have more information in order to help you out. So then how do you submit your work for marking? Well, there's 3 methods. The first is to scan and send your work electronically. If you have a device, you can scan your completed work using your device. The Apple devices have a Notes app with a scan function, and the Android devices have a Google Drive app with a scan function. If you're not sure how to use these, they're fairly straightforward with basically a point and click, but I have tech tutorials on my YouTube channel that will walk you through step by step how to use these apps. You're also welcome to ask me, and I'm happy to walk you through it. Then you can send them to student work at nnec.on.ca and CC it to bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca, or you can send them to me through Facebook Messenger, where my name is B. Slate Wahsa. The second method is to drop your work off in Sioux Lookout. We have an outdoor mailbox at 74 Front Street. We are the bright red building next to the post office, and we have a small white mailbox next to our side entrance. The third method is to hand your work in to your DEC. Your DEC can either send your work through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. Students can also fax in their work. Just give us a heads up that you're sending something so that we can find it, as sometimes things get lost. If you'd like to connect with me through social media, both my Facebook and YouTube channel are under the name B. Slate Wahsa. All of our radio Zoom classes are recorded and posted to YouTube shortly after broadcasting. And I share these links on Facebook, so those are both really easy places to find all of our class material. Also on my channel, there are short videos that I've made explaining common errors and confusing concepts. So this is a really good place to go and start your understanding. If you're struggling with something, it's just a good place to go and narrow it down opposed to just doing a general internet search. Math is an incredibly visual subject, so I strongly encourage you to access the videos so you get the full experience. Either join me live through Zoom, whether or not you want to ask me questions or talk to me, you don't have to, that's totally fine, just watching is fine, or watching the replays on YouTube, that's fine too. If you don't have reliable internet and that's not an option, please let me know, and I'm happy to send you a copy of the recordings so that you still get the full experience and have all the tools available to you. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out and connect with me. My email address is bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. My Facebook is B. Slate Wahsa. You can call me at the office at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or toll free 1-800-667-3703. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., though I teach from 9 until 11, and so that is not a good time to try to get a hold of me. Today's lesson is lesson 8, and we are looking at simple interest, which we covered in lesson 7, and how that connects to compound interest, which we will look at deeper in the next couple lessons, but today is just a linking piece between the two. So our learning goals are that at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to compound interest using a spreadsheet, either Excel or Google Sheets are the two options we're going to look at. And you will understand the differences between compound and simple interest. The success criteria are that you can use a spreadsheet to calculate compound interest, and you can explain the differences between compound and simple interest. That's really what our focus is. It's a narrow focus today. When will you use this in real life? Well, we are looking for patterns in math. This helps us better understand the world around us. Yes, understanding compound and simple interest is really practical in terms of finances, but also being able to practice seeing those patterns that we're going to look at today and recognize that there's patterns in various places in your life is also a really useful tool. But first, let's activate our brains with some mental math. I don't believe in Mad Math Minutes. They cause stress and anxiety in more students than not. And it's really just not beneficial in terms of actually teaching arithmetic. So instead, we work on developing strategies that you can use in various situations that make it accessible and friendly for each individual student. Our question today is 82 take away 56, and we're going to be counting back in groups. So I like to, when I'm counting back in groups, I like to use an open number line. So this is a number line, which usually we draw a line, be vertical or horizontal, and then you write a bunch of little pegs and label them. With an open number line, you don't write in all of the numbers, you just use it as a guide, and you put numbers in relationship to each other, and it does not need to be exact or precise. It's more of an approximation and a guideline. So if we're counting backwards, I'm going to start the far right, as 82 is a big number. So, and I know it's subtracting, so I'm going to want it's going to be less. I'm going to move to the left. So if I'm going to start from 82 and take away 57, how I'm going to think about this is I'm first going to take away 2. I'm going to take away numbers and friendly pieces. So that gives me to 80. And then from 80, I'm going to take away 50. Now you could, instead of taking away 50 all at once, you could take away smaller chunks, and that would be fine. But I'm going to take away 50 in one chunk and gets to 30. You could go back by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and go back 70, 60, 50, 40, 30. That would work fine too. Again, multiple options. And then I've taken away 52, but I need to take away 57. So that means I need to take away another 5. So I'm going to take away another 5, and 5 taken away from 30 is 25. So 82 take away 57 is equal to 25. And this is a great way to do subtraction so that you don't get mixed up with borrowing or stacking your numbers and always taking the smaller number away from the bigger number, which doesn't help, isn't accurate. This way keeps your information aligned and you're using logical information and friendly number steps that work for you. Mine's on. What prior learning do we need to have? So I just want to talk a little bit about financial literacy so that you know that if this is a struggle for you, you are not alone. More folks than not struggle with financial literacy. So these are stats from the last couple of years. I don't have a date on them, and here it says 55% of Canadians have unsuitable numeracy skills, which means that they may struggle with understanding written instructions that rely on charts, numbers, and conditional statements, like if-then statements. So 50% of Canadians, and these are adult Canadians and not students, kids or youth who are learning. These are adults who are dealing with finances every day. 4 in 10 Canadians report money is a daily concern, and a third of low-income Canadians report worrying about money almost constantly. So a lot of folks are stressed about money most of the time. 46%, so this is less than half of Canadians have a budget, so are planning how to use their money and aware of how they're using their money. Nearly 6 out of 10 Canadian adults do not have a good idea of how much money they need to save to retire when and in the way that they want. So we're not able to plan for our futures. We don't have the skills. People who have a higher level of financial confidence tend to have better results with day-to-day money and debt management for those that have low levels of confidence. So if you're comfortable with your understanding, you're more likely to be able to be making better decisions for yourself. And about 4 in 10 Canadians say they found ways to increase their financial knowledge, skills, and confidence in the past 5 years. There's evidence that financial literacy resources and tools that are helping Canadians to manage their money. So we can improve, and we are improving. So then this infographic is saying 10 things you should know during times of financial uncertainty. It happens to all of us that there are times when money is just not working out for us. It's not something that means that you are incapable of figuring it out. You might need support, but it happens. You can get yourself out of it. So things to do or to know, you should keep track of your money. This is super, super important. It's super hard when you have no money and you have a lot of debt, or you're feel like you can't cover your bills. It's super, super hard not to avoid it, but being informed helps you get yourself out of that situation. At one point in my life, money was a really big struggle, and my partner and I decided to, we called it breakfast and bills. And though we were really struggling, didn't have extra income, every 2 weeks we went out for breakfast and we paid our bills, and it was worthwhile to spend the money on breakfast to associate something positive and meaningful to do this very challenging thing that we were really struggling to do. So figure out something for you that helps you keep track of your money and how you can manage it and feel on top of it. So then commit to a spending plan, make a budget, and stick with it. This is how it's going to help you manage your finances. Minimize your debt, borrow only what you need. It is best to either, borrowing money sometimes needs to happen, but it isn't money, it isn't free money. So figuring out how to borrow only what you need and not extra is really, really important. The companies that are lending you money want you to borrow money and not pay it back, because then they make more money on you. So they're not set up for your gain. Just something to be aware of. Build good financial habits and protect yourself from financial fraud. So being aware of what's going on and you're keeping track of your money helps you make sure that you're protected. Understand any financial products and services that you are receiving, and if there is anything that could be better for you. That is hard. That's probably asking for help, and that's really challenging, but is beneficial. Set aside some money for unexpected expenses. Have a sort of contingency or emergency fund is really, really important. I struggle with this, but it is something that future self will really appreciate if you are able to do it. Ordering your credit report. Often now you can get it for free through your banking app or something like that. So then you can just know or you can get your credit score. Your credit report is a little bit more detail, and so understanding what debt is affecting you and what historical things are impacting your credit. Have a plan to repay your debt and reassess your financial goals. So have a plan and have things to aim for that are realistic. If you are struggling with finances, doing all of these things in step 1 is not going to be beneficial. It's going to be overwhelming and not achievable. So pick maybe one of these things to work on for a month or 2, and then pick another one and add it, then now you're doing two things, and do that for a month or two and build your financial health over time. Okay, so then what are the new things that we're actually going to be talking about? So this is part of financial literacy, is understanding interest. This lesson is slightly different than all of our other lessons. We are going to be doing investigations. So we're going to be doing a couple of comparing some charts and some numbers and see what we can figure out and what we can notice, and then analyze that, opposed to answering a bunch of individual questions. So first, we're going to look at simple interest, which is what we covered in our previous lesson. So this should be review. This should be something that is not completely new to you. So you go to the bank with $1,000 to invest for 5 years. Bank A offers to pay 5% simple interest for each year you invest. This means that they will pay you 5% on the original amount invested for each year for the length of the investment. Remember, simple interest is always invested on that principal amount, the amount that you start with. So we're going to fill out this chart to see how much money we end up after the 5 years, which is similar to what we did in our last lesson. So our starting balance in year one is $1,000. That's how much we are starting with. So the balance that interest is calculated on is $1,000. Our principal amount is $1,000. So that is what we are calculating our interest on. Our interest earned is, remember, simple interest is I equals PRT. So our principal is $1,000 times our rate. Well, our rate is 5%. So 5% is equal to 0.05. And our time, we're doing this year by year. So there's only 1 year, even though we could do it for 5 years and find how much we'd have in total at the end. But we're looking at the pattern of what is happening every year. So then our ending balance, well, 5% of $1,000 is $50. So we earn $50. So that means that our ending balance is 1,000 plus 50, which is equal to $1,050. Okay, great. So our starting balance in year two is $1,050. We calculate our interest on the principal, which is only $1,000. So that means our interest earned is $50 again, right? That doesn't change. We're always earning $50. So our ending balance is now our starting balance. So $1,050 plus our new $50, which is $1,100. Our starting balance for year three is $1,100. Our interest is calculated on the original principal, which is $1,000. So it is $50. So our ending balance is $1,100 plus $50, which is $1,150. Starting balance for year four is $1,150, but we calculate our interest on our principal, which is $1,000. So that means it's still $50. So our ending balance is $1,150 plus $50, which is $1,200. And then our fifth year, we start with $250. No, we don't do that. Sorry, my bad. Okay, year five, we have $1,200. There we go. We are getting interest on $1,000, which is $50. So $1,200 plus $50 is $1,250. And that's how much money we have after 5 years. So simple interest, we are adding $50 every year. So here, if I graph it, we can see that this is linear growth. We are adding a constant amount of $50 every single year for simple interest. And that'll continue for as long as we do it. Now, compound interest is this new one that we're going to be talking about. So we still have $1,000 and we're investing it for 5 years, but we're going to go to Bank B, and Bank B offers 5% compound interest for each year you invest. So this means that they will pay 5% on the original amount invested plus on any interest earned for each year for the length of the investment. So let's look at what that means, because this is new. So again, we're starting with the same chart. So we start with $1,000. Great. So we are calculating the interest on the $1,000. And we're going to calculate interest the same way. So we're going to do $1,000 times 0.05% times 1, which is $50. So in our first year, our amount is the same. 1,000 plus 50 equals $1,050. Now this is when it changes. So our starting balance is $1,050 in year 2, but now the balance that the bank calculates interest on is no longer the principal. It's no longer just the $1,000. It's now the $1,000 and the $50. So that interest that we earned is going to earn as interest. And this is where I start not remembering exactly how much interest we get. So now this second year, we earn $52.50 in interest. So we've earned an extra $2.50 opposed to last year, or opposed to the second year of the simple interest method. So now we have $1,550 plus $52.50, which is equal to $1,102.50. So our starting balance for year 3 is $1,102.50. We have that extra $2.50 that we earned in interest. And now in year 3, our balance that we're calculating interest on is the whole amount. So $1,102.50. Whereas remember in year 3 for a simple interest, we were only doing it on $1,000. So now we're doing it on $102.50 more than we were doing for simple interest. So we can calculate our interest by multiplying it by 5%, which is equal to $55.13. So in year 3, we earned $55.13, which means that we end up at the end. Now we have $1,157.63. So the starting balance for year 4 is $1,157.63. And the balance that we're calculating interest on is $1,157.63, which means that now we've again increased how much we are calculating our interest on. So we're multiplying that 5% by $1,157.63, which is $57.88. So every year we are getting a little bit more interest. Not a ton, but a little bit more. So then we're going to add $57.88 to that. And I'm going to recognize that my brain is a bit fuzzy and use a calculator to do it. That's wrong. See, even when using a calculator, I'm doing it wrong. So that's $1,215.51. So then year 5, we start with $1,215.51. So we are calculating our interest on $1,215.51. So that means we multiply that by 5%. Which is $60.78. Which then if we add the two together, we get $1,276.29. And that is how compound interest works, is that every year, instead of calculating just on your investment amount, the original investment amount, you are reinvesting that interest that you've earned. You're calculating your new interest on the interest that you've already earned. So it's free money on top of free money. So here, if we look at our graph and we graph our years versus our interest, we can see that this is actually exponential growth. Now, it's hard to see how until we line up the simple interest. So simple interest, remember, was linear. And at the beginning, they're very, very close together. But over time, you can see already only after 5 years, the compound interest is peeling away from the simple interest line. And this is just going to happen more and more and more the longer you invest for. So let's look closely at what the difference is. So simple interest is based on the principal amount of the loan or deposit, and it's linear growth. Compound interest is based on the principal amount and the interest that accumulates on it every period, and this is exponential growth. So here we can see over time how far apart they can end up being. So for this lesson, for this assignment, you're going to be making an Excel, or you're going to be making a spreadsheet, either using Excel, which is what the step-by-step process is in your IEL booklet. So it looks like this, where it tells you to use Microsoft Excel 2007, and walks through all of these buttons, where the buttons are and what you're going to do to each cell. Now, even if you have access to a later version of Excel, these steps most likely are exactly the same. They probably haven't changed this or updated it. It's fairly straightforward. And you just follow the steps, and you type in the numbers and the words where they tell you to type in the numbers and the words, and you move to different cells and you make the chart. And then once you're done making the chart, you can analyze the information that they're asking you about. What we're going to do here in class is we're going to see how you do the same thing using a spreadsheet in Google Sheets. So Google Sheets is a free spreadsheet program that you can access online. Everyone has access through the G Suite through your NNEC email address. So if you don't have access, if your email address isn't letting you create a Google Sheet and you want me to help you figure out how to do that, just let me know and I can show you how to do that using your NNEC email address. But what we're going to do is I'm going to just walk through how to do the same steps that the Excel spreadsheet goes through through Google Sheets. So we are actually going to do that starting fresh. So starting with being in Chrome is a good idea, but you don't have to be. So you're going to find Google Sheets, and there's a couple of ways to do it. You can go into this little waffle, this 9x9 thing, and find your sheets here. It's a green icon. It's called Sheets. And then you can click there. It's going to ask you to sign in and verify. So then you can do that. It might ask you to type in your email address, and then it's going to ask you to type in your password. And there you go. You can also find Google Sheets by just searching for Google Sheets. And then you can go, again, they're going to ask you to sign in, or you can go to Sheets, and then you can just create one from there. So here, if you get to this, I have a whole bunch of other sheets. You can click on a blank one and you get to this sheet, which is going to look very similar to Excel, which is what we want. So then here, now you're going to follow the same steps that are in Excel. So in the IL booklet that you have, even though those things are talking about the how to do in Excel, the steps are going to be very, very similar. There might be a little bit different, but very, very similar. So we've got Google Sheets open, and now we're going to type in cell A1. We're going to type in principal because that is where we're starting. So here's cell A1, and we're going to type in principal. And this is money, so we're going to put it in the money symbol. And you can click out of it or press enter. And then they want you to move over to they want you to move up to C1, and here in C1 we're going to set it to having we're going to format it to have 2 decimal places, and then we're going to type in 1,000. So we can use our arrows to move up to C1, and there's a couple of different ways to do this. So you can click here in Google Sheets and just format it as currency, and then when I type in 1,000, it just tells me that it's money. You can also click here where it says 1, 2, 3, and it's got a little drop down. So then you can click here and then down here, look at and call it currency. You can also customize the currency, but really it's already fine. It has 2 decimal places. That's all that we really need. So then you can just leave it as, then you just type in 1,000 and it puts in the $ and the decimals for 00 because $1,000 and 0 cents. And that's all you need to do. Then the next thing they want you to do is go to cell A2 and type interest rate, and then cell C2 and type 5. So we're going to, right now we are just enter S, there we go. We are just putting in the information so that we have it, so that we know what we're talking about. And you can also use tab to go across. And then here, interest rate is 5. That's what we're talking about. So this is just holding our information. And now we're going to actually make that chart that is equivalent to the one that we wrote down. So we don't have to do all the math. We're going to get Excel to do it for us, the Google Sheets to do it for us. So we're going to type in our headings for year, principal, interest, and amount in cells A4 to D4. So here's A4 to D4, year, principal, interest, and amount. Oh, it's not interest rate, it's interest. Oops. Dollars. And amount, remember amount is how much you have at the end of the year. Now we're going to fill in our years. And this is when we're starting to get the computer to work for us. So we can just type in 1, 2, 3 and type in as many as we want. But once you type in the first couple, if you select, you'll see you have this little blue box here down in the bottom right-hand corner. And if you click on that when you have this plus sign and drag it down, you'll see that it continues the numbers in the pattern that you have. So they adds 1 every year. Now, a tricky thing is if you only click from the first one, it's going to copy 1 and fill everything in 1. So that's why you need to do the first 2 years so it sees the pattern that you want, and you don't want it to just fill in the number that you have in that first cell, that you want it to add in a year every year, and then it counts it for as many as you want. And this is great for it because if you start to do, if you want more than 10 years, or if you want to do 30 years or 100 years or something, depending on what you want to do, then it's just really easy to just continue to drag that down. Or you can also drag back up if you want to have less years. It's not working for me. There we go. I don't know why it won't. Maybe you can't drag up. Maybe I was wrong. Anyway. Okay, so that's how we can fill in our years really quickly. Then we are going to they tell you can type it in. I told you to drag down. And then again, they want, we're going to format, and we're going to format all of these as money as one time. So you can do them individually, or we're just going to format it as currency all in one go. And then we're going to type in $1,000, 1,000, and it puts it in $1,000. Then for the, I want to follow the steps so that I do the same thing that they tell you to do. So now you're going to put in a formula, and formulas are a little bit tricky. So, but this is how you get the spreadsheet to do the math for you. So we are going to say here, to find her interest, we know we're going to do, so if we wanted to do a formula first, we have to put an equal sign in. So this equal sign is on your keyboard, you just type in equals, so that now it knows that you want to do a calculation. They're going to give you some sort of option. You don't have to follow it. They're just going to suggest what they think maybe you want to do, and we don't want to do that. But what we do want to calculate the interest, we know that we want to do our principal amount times our interest rate as a decimal. So we're going to do our principal amount, which is in B5. So I can click on B5 or I could type in B5. And then we're going to multiply. And multiplying on a spreadsheet is the little star asterisk. That's how they know that you want to multiply. And that you have to press Shift 8 on your keyboard. Then we're going to type in 0.05 because we want it to be 5%. And we're going to press Enter. Now, this is the tricky part. When you press Enter, the formula disappears. What you just typed in disappears, and the math shows up. So 1,000 times 5% is $50. So now we just see the $50. If I click there up here in my formula bar, I can see what my formula was, so I can change it if I need to. But here now on in my main cell, I just see the answer. Then the amount for each year, again, they're suggesting, saying, oh, maybe you want to do this. We don't want to do that. For the amount, remember, it's our principal plus, which is Shift and then the equal sign on your keyboard, plus your interest. So it's B5 plus C5. Again, you can type them in if you want to. You don't have to. And you're going to press Enter. And there we go. It added the two cells together. Again, you click on the cell and see it in your formula bar in case you made a mistake. And that shows you how to do it. So then the next step we're going to do is our principal. Remember, with compound interest, which is what we're doing, our principal is the same as our amount in the previous year. So we're going to do equals, and we're just going to click over here in D5 because we just wanted to copy that amount over here under principal for our second year. Remember, that's what we did when we were writing it out. We had to write it at the end of the column of the row and then back at the beginning of the next row. So then we do that, and then there it shows up. It shows up that it's $1,500. Sorry, $1,050. So then what you can do is a couple things to continue on. We can keep typing it in, but again, we don't want to put more energy in than we have to. So I'm going to select these two cells and I press shift to select them both. You can do it one at a time, but I'm going to press shift to select them both, and then I'm going to copy. And on a PC, that's Control C. On a Mac, it's Command C, or you can right click and find the copy option. And then I'm going to paste it in these here. So I press Control V on a PC, Command V on a Mac, or again, you can right click and find paste. So here you can see my formula has changed now, and it's saying that I want to do the new principal on year 2 and still multiply it by 5%. And so that gives now I get $52.50. And here in the amount, it's adding B6 and C6. So it's adding these two amounts to get here, which is great, which is what I wanted. So now what I'm going to do is, because I want to keep this going, is I'm going to select that whole row. I can also click and drag to select. I'm going to select that whole row because I want all of these things to just copy. I want to keep going, but I don't want to keep typing them in. And again, I can copy and paste them, or I can pull this little box down and drag it down, and it will fill it in. And you can see that it carries the amount over. If you look in your formula thing, you'll see that the formula is what we expect it to be. And then here in our spreadsheet, you just get the numbers that tells us after 11 years, this is the final amount that we will have, is how far we've gone. And that is how you use a spreadsheet to make it do the math for you, and you don't have to do the math for yourself. And that is what the instructions follow step by step tell you to do. They tell you to go to year 20. I'm not going to do it all for you. So they tell you to do it to year 20, and they might tell you to do it slightly differently. Their steps might be slightly different than mine, and that's fine. Both ways are going to get you to the same place, whether or not you're using Excel or Google Sheets. And that is how you use a spreadsheet. If you have any questions about this, please reach out. I'm happy to walk you through it. It can be a little confusing. So for this lesson, there are no support questions. You just need to follow the steps in the booklet and answer the questions that are at the end. And you need to hand it all in so that I can see both that you created the spreadsheet and then you were able to analyze it. So if you do not have access to a computer, so you can't get access to Excel or Google Sheets. Remember, Google Sheets is free and you should be able to access it if you have a computer. But if you don't have a computer and you don't have internet access, please let me know, and don't just skip this lesson. Let me know and I'll give you an alternative lesson. I have something that means that you don't have to do the spreadsheet part, but you just do the analysis to help you connect as we're moving forward. So don't just skip it. Some folks have just skipped it because I assume because they don't have access to a computer or these programs. I don't want you to do that. I still want you to learn, even if you don't have the technology. So just let me know and I'm happy to support you, and you don't lose marks for not having a computer. That is unethical. So don't worry about that. You just need to reach out and let me know so that I can give you the tools that you need to use. All right, so then here is an example. So they want you to use a spreadsheet to show the growth of a $2,000 investment on both 4% simple and 4% compound interest for 25 years. So I'm going to do this really, really quickly so that we can compare. So don't worry about what I'm doing now. Just note that I'm going to do this part really fast just so that we can find out the information to compare instead of the steps on how to learn. Oops. So you can see as I change something, everything changed. didn't change how I wanted it to, but that's fine. Why are you not doing what I want? Oh, right, that's why. Right. There we go. Okay. So doing the simple interest on the spreadsheet is a little bit different than what we've done. So I just am changing it so that we can compare. But this should be, yes, should be good now. We want to do this for 25 years. So again, it's fine if you don't understand what I just was doing. That wasn't the important part. The important part is that we can now see the two different situations. So this is simple interest. I'll type it again here at the bottom. And this is compound interest. So we are investing $4,000 at 4% for the same amount of time for 25 years. The difference is that this situation here is simple interest. So we are only calculating the 4% on the original principal amount of $2,000. $2,000, not $4,000, right? Yes. Sorry. And with compound interest, we are investing every year that $2,000, the interest that we earn, we reinvest. And we don't actually have to do anything. The bank just does it. So you can see here, after 25 years, simple interest means that we have $4,000 in total. So that includes the $2,000 that we invested, and we've made another $2,000 in interest. Okay, great, sure. But here at compound interest, we can see now, we still remember we invested with $2,000. So we now have a result after 25 years of $6,708.21. So that includes the $2,000 we invested. So, but we made $4,708.21. So that is significantly more. It is over double the amount just by having the option to compound. And so compounding interest is great when you're investing. You make so much more money after time. The first few years, if you look at them, you'll see you don't earn that much more. It's only like $20 or $40 or something like that over every year. It's not that huge of a difference. But after 25 years, it's over twice the amount. And so that's a huge difference. And this is why we're looking at compound interest, because it is something that is really beneficial when you're investing, but also something to really be cautious of if you are borrowing money and it has compound interest, which means you're going to be paying significant amount of more interest back. So compound interest has the greatest impact over long periods of time. And that is our connection today between simple interest and compound interest. So let's do a quick review of what we've learned today in lesson 8. So remember that simple interest is calculated only on the principal. It's constant growth, it's linear. You get the same amount every single year because that interest amount doesn't change. Whereas compound interest is calculated on both the principal and the accumulated interest. So every year, your principal is growing a little bit more, which means you are earning more interest every year. So this is exponential growth. It is rapid change. Things that grow exponentially grow really quickly. And it has the biggest impact after long periods of time. If you're only doing it for 1 year, it's going to be the exact same. If you're doing it for 2 years, it's just gonna be slightly a little bit different. But if you're doing it for 25 or 30 years, it's gonna have the biggest change. It's gonna have like significant amount of change. And this is why people talk about investing early is even as you invest a small amount, if you can invest for 30 or 40 years, even if you're just investing a small amount, that compound interest means that you will earn a lot more interest and your investment will grow significantly. Then we use spreadsheets to see both how simple and compound interest can work. So we walk through the steps on how to do that. Hopefully that makes sense. Really just follow the steps in your IEL booklet. I've had students give me both Excel spreadsheets and Google spreadsheets following the steps in your booklet. So they should support you and help you. That should be fine. If you need help, let me know. And if you don't have computer access or internet access, please ask for an alternative lesson so that you aren't losing marks just for not doing this lesson, please. So our success criteria are that you can use the spreadsheet to calculate compound interest. And you can explain the differences between compound and simple interest. Hopefully that is true. If you have any questions, of course, please, let's chat about it. So if you do want to chat about this lesson or any of our lessons, please give me a call at the office at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or toll free 1-800-667-3703. You can also send me an email at bronwyn.slate, and that's spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. Connect with me through Facebook, where my name is B-Slate Wahsa. And remember, our YouTube channel is B-Slate Wahsa, where we have a playlist just for our course, which is MEL3E, which is our course code. And this lesson and all of our previous lessons are up there for this term, as well as there's a previous term there so that you can look ahead if you need to, or watch the same lesson and I might have explained something slightly differently a previous year. So check that out if that's a useful tool. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely day. Miigwech.